A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to everyone joining us here in the studio at the World Seed Congress and also to our viewers online. It's Innovation Day here at the Congress, and it's a perfect background to this morning's discussion where we're asking what is beyond neonics. And over the next 30 to 40 minutes, our panel is going to discuss the changes on the horizon here in Türkiye, how farmers and seed companies are reacting, and what the industry is doing to support Turkish agriculture through this change. Although we won't be taking questions in the room, Corteva welcomes you all onto their booth after we're not all on the same time, but you're welcome to join them on the booth afterwards. Following the discussion, they'd love to engage and take any follow-up questions then. But our panel this morning, let's meet who's joining us in here. We've got Monica Joss. Monica is a Seed Applied Technologies Manager for Corteva Agriscience. She's spent more than 10 years in the seed treatment business, working across areas such as technical development, product and portfolio management, as well as commercial. We have Mustafa Egradir. He's a member of the Executive Committee of Mayo Agro, and he's Supply Director of Mayseed, the first private seed company in Türkiye, where he has worked for the last 26 years. And to my left, we have Thibaut Chiruzes, who is the country leader for Corteva Agriscience in Türkiye. He's been 18 years of experience in the industry, and between 2013 and 2018, when neonics were banned in Europe, Thibaut was in charge of the European portfolio management of several seed product lines such as corn, sunflower, and winter oilseed rape. I'd like to start a little bit by asking all of you here, I mean, what's the interest in today's conversation? What do you hope to get out of the panel? I'll come to you first, Monica.
Thank you, Claire. I mean, obviously, this topic is huge for the industry, huge for everyone that it is involved in agriculture, and it's quite of importance for me as well. So I'm really looking forward here to hear different perspectives, to share knowledge, hear different expertise, and trigger a discussion as well. You know, not just among us, but maybe also in the wider audience or afterwards at our booth. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Thank you. And yourself, Mustafa.
Thank you for having me. The topic, the loss of neonics in Turkey, is a significant shift in agriculture policy. Also, as a seed company, we are a part of agriculture industry, and we are affected very, dramatically. So I am here today, and maybe we can discuss, and I will learn some ideas and some alternatives, because some applications have been taken in Europe already. So thank you.
Thank you, Mustafa. And yourself, Thibaut, lastly.
Yeah, thanks, Claire. It's a pleasure to be here. I think from experience, we know that this transition in countries where we've seen it is not easy. It brings a lot of uncertainty, both to our farmers, but also to all the seed companies and industry members. So I'm really interested in understanding, as we pursue this change, especially in Türkiye, what are some of the things that we can do to accompany all the industry members in making this transition as smooth as it can be.
Thank you. And Monica, I'll come to you next. Just can you give us a little bit more background about this conversation, a little bit more into the detail?
Sure, I can. Well, I think all of us, or most of us, are aware what neonics are. I mean, they're a specific class of chemistry, specific class of insecticides, and they're broadly used in ag. And actually throughout the growing cycle, you know, seed treatment, but also later on. They're an important tool to manage the crop, and they are or were very valuable to the farmers and the whole value chain. Now, back in 2018, actually, in Europe, they decided to no further allow the use of neonics, so it was banned. The transition actually started much earlier already. Back in 2013, you know, the first solution left the market, and obviously they left a gap in the market, and agriculture had to adapt to the new reality, come up with new solutions, change the practices. And today, actually, in Turkey, we are in a similar situation, right? Because just recently it was decided that also here neonics are no longer allowed to be used in agriculture. And now the question is, what comes next? How are the farmers, the seed companies, you know, everyone in the value chain, how are they going to adapt to this change and make sure they still produce food and, you know, deliver what is needed. So yeah, that's why we are here today.
And that's a question to put to yourself, Mustafa. How are farmers feeling with the recent announcement in Turkey? What is the impact likely to have on farmers? Yeah, and just to say a little bit, if you can put the microphones a little bit closer to your mouth, just so everybody can hear in the room. Thanks, Mustafa.
You asked me?
Yeah, I was just saying, and Monica was just saying there about what's this going to have in terms of the impact in Turkey.
Okay.
Just to share a little bit about how farmers are feeling.
Okay. Actually, the impact will verify based on crop type and regions and pest pressure, and I can estimate the impact of the growers in two main headings. I can say the first main heading is short-term challenges. Short-term challenges, I can say, increase, the pest pressure and higher cost, and the knowledge gap, because the farmers are used neonics application. They are set up and they forget it principle. They are comfortable to manage the pests. Also, we are seed companies. So the other aspect, maybe there can be some long-term opportunities.
Okay.
Here. Long-term opportunities, I can say better pollination and biodiversity. Also, another long-term opportunities can be sustainable farming incentives and some market advantages, because as global customers become more eco-conscious, and Turkish farmers might gain a competitive edge in markets that favor that prefer lower pesticide or pollinator-friendly production. Also, if we look at the consider the impact of this ban on the seed companies and the seed producer, I can say neonics were particularly important and effectively for seed companies and the producers in combating soil pests, like such as wireworms, as well as cutworms at seedling stage, and early sucking insect. In fact, so far, with a single seed treatment, it was possible to effectively effectively control all three pests. But for last 40 years, winters have been warmer in Turkey. So informed because of the global warming, also this caused soil pets to stay more comfortable in the fields and increased their population even more. So the fight against them should be carried out even more effectively. As you know, in Turkey, the use of neonics in seed treatments was permitted only until this March 2025. As of that date, neonics will be no longer be allowed in any form of seed treatment. As a seed company, as a seed company, we have been researching alternatives to neonics for the past 3 years. We are testing both biological and chemical alternatives offered by crop protection companies in our own production research department. Last season, our production research department tested 2 registered seed treatments were presented as alternatives. The result was promising. This season, we will try these 2 seed treatments on larger scale and evaluate the outcomes. Hopefully, this result in second year will also be positive, and these products can become a viable solution for seed companies and after the post neonics world in Turkey. At the same time, we also test some biological alternatives.
But I might pause you there because I think we'll come back a little bit to that once you've
Okay.
heard a little bit about what happened in Europe, because it'd be interesting to draw on some of the work that you're looking at and alternatives, and we might even put that to Monica later. So I think you mentioned earlier about things like knowledge gap and things that are going to help you realise what you said was potentially a long-term opportunity. So we can turn a little bit about what we're going to look at later in that. But I might pause and I might come to Thibaut because you were, of course, working in Europe at the time when neonics were banned. What impact did that have? The same question I asked Mustafa, but at the time, what impact did that have on farmers in Europe?
Well, it certainly did increase uncertainty because at the time these bans started, there was no broadly registered and as effective alternative on the market. There were some alternatives that provided partial control, but those were tools that were neither widely registered, nor did the farmers really have access at the time to information on those alternatives and how to integrate them in their cultural practices. So initially, the result was quite a bit of confusion, while our customers, the farmers, were trying to understand how to plan for this transition.
And what was the impact on the seed industry itself?
Well, in the seed industry, certainly. Well, if you allow me, I'll touch back on farmers again. Another piece that was challenging for farmers is really understanding this availability because in Europe, for the most part, although there are some exceptions, the ability to treat is based on the registration you get in the country where you treat. But the farmers often get seed that is supplied from different countries because seed companies such as ours or other members in the industry often produce in a different country. So it was not very visible for farmers also if they can access those technologies. The other piece still on farmers, Claire, is we don't sell single seed treatments. Farmers often combine different solutions. And those early alternatives that were on the market are not always compatible. So what happened is, beyond understanding the control on insects, they had also sometimes to make trade-offs between solutions they couldn't use together. So am I more worried about bird repellency, or am I worried more about insects? Some choices, obviously, they don't want to make. But to follow up on your question, for the industry, it really disrupted the supply chains. As I mentioned just now, again, in most cases, what you can put in the seed depends on where you treat it. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, it depends on the registration in the country where you treat. And as I mentioned, we produce seeds as an industry in other countries. So all of a sudden, what the industry had to do is shift sometimes some seeds to be treated and bagged in countries where we didn't intend to, not necessarily have the capacity, not necessarily in the same production area. And our system, our supply chains are not built for that. So it put some constraints and created some delays in some cases for supplying the farmer with the seed. Also linked to the supply chain, some of those registrations that we started getting for those alternative solutions were emergency registration, because in Europe it takes a lot of time to get full registrations. Typically, those emergency registrations are time bound. They're limited for a certain number of days. So you tend to get them late in the season. While this is okay for the farmers to use, again, it delays the time at which the seed companies can start treating, putting some capacity strains in terms of delivering the seed. So overall, I would say it put a big constraint on the supply chain, resulting in delays.
And of course, Mustafa mentioned there about short-term challenges, long-term opportunities. It was different in Europe in terms of that transition. Didn't seem like there was the same preparation there. How have they overcome the loss in Europe looking ahead?
Yeah, it was actually difficult initially because, like you said, it was a short-term issue that we had to have. Like I mentioned, not all solutions could be put everywhere. So it created a lot of complexity in the types of recipes that you have in each country. Because again, it's not like a simple crop protection product where you're applying a product and a rate. Here you're applying product in combinations with other products, with polymers into a recipe on a seed. And those of us who are seed producers here know that the testing is very complex for that. Whenever you put a solution in place like this, you're going to have to test for things like plantability. When I apply this particular recipe, how does the seed plant depending on the different genetics that I have? You're going to test for application. Is there any stickiness? Is there any dust? How does the treatment resist to abrasion in the bag? You're going to test seed safety. How safe is it to the seed now, but also in 3 months or in a year? That takes time. You're of course going to test that it's safe to the operators that put it on the seed, to the people who handle the seed, and ultimately to the farmer. So all of these aspects take time. We had to develop capacity to do that. And we had to ensure that we can do it on a large number of treatments. So it was hard to overcome. Ultimately, the answer we knew from the beginning. The answer is identifying a solution which can be effective, registered broadly, and has a high level of compatibility with the different treatments. We knew that early on. Diamide chemistries such as Lumiposa we registered in Europe, Lumivia that we're registering here, they do have those properties. The challenge in Europe is the regulatory framework is extremely complex and takes a lot of time. So we had to go through a transition before we could get those solutions in the market. In Turkey, however, that's what we believe we're doing faster and better ahead of the transition, as we're seeing those chemistries arrive ahead of that transition, allowing for hopefully a smoother process.
And it's interesting hearing Thibaut's lessons from what happened in Europe. What does that sort of leave you thinking, Mustafa, and what would you be asking to the seed industry to support Turkish farmers and Turkish agriculture through the change? Oh, microphone.
Sorry about that. I have some problems with microphone. I would like to express my thought in two categories. The one category is the general agriculture industry. The second one, especially seed industry, seed companies. As a general aspect, I would group my expectation or my hope into 5 key actions the agriculture industry should take to successfully to adapt to a post neonic world. The first one is accelerate integrated pest management adaptation. Here, industry's role can be invest in tools and the platforms that help farmers make IPM decisions. For example, pest forecasting apps, sensors or advisory services. Train agronomists and extension workers to guide farmers in IPM strategies, and partner with government to provide subsidies and incentives for IPM adoption. The second key action is develop and to promote be safe alternatives. For this action, industry can play role in speeding up R&D on targeted short residual chemicals or RNA-based insecticides that don't persist in the environment. The other role can be support biotech development for pest-resistant crop varieties. The other roles can be promote biologicals, beneficial fungi, bacteria, something like that, where feasible. The third key action can be improve access to data and pest monitoring. Here also industry can play role in deploy pest traps, remote sensors, and the drone monitoring at scale, and sharing regional pest pressure data through cooperatives or agriculture tech platforms. Also, another roles can be helping farmers make real-time decisions through AI assisted tools. I can say the fourth key action is invest in farmer education and transformation support. Here, industry can play a role in funding education programs on farm demonstrations and transformation toolkits, and maybe working with governments and universities to create free advisory services. The last one, embrace ecological and regenerative principles. For this area, industry can play a role in supporting cover cropping, crop rotation, and conservation farming, and maybe funding research into how deserve farms can suppress pests nationally. The other role can be rewarding regenerative outcomes. As a seed companies, we expect some effects and the desired characteristics. Actually, the Thibaut mentioned it before. Just, I will add some things. The first, of course, the seed treatment, the seed pesticide should be effective against target pests to ensure ease of using. The other one, the seed treatment should be formulated as liquid forms and with systematic activity. The other
I might pause you there, Mustafa, because I was going to put the question to Monica, what are you going to say in response? But I don't know if you've picked up all of your key asks there, so I'm not going to get you to focus on everything. But thank you for sharing that. And it's good to get a bit of a breakdown of the different areas you can see support. But is there anything that stuck out to you that you think that the seed industry can do to help Turkish agriculture with this change? What do you see going forward?
Well, first of all, you talked a lot about solutions, innovation, and I mean, this resonates very well with me because I truly think the role of the industry is to deliver these solutions and these innovations to the market and make them available for the seed companies, for the farmers. At the end of the day, we are here to give you the toolbox you need to navigate the challenges you have, and not just you as a seed company, but also the farmers. So at the end of the day, delivering peace of mind. And, that's at the core of Corteva as well. Now, hearing what you're expecting, hearing the challenges Thibaut mentioned about Turkey, I think in Turkey, we're at a different spot than we were in Europe because we're ahead of the game. And why am I saying that? So Corteva already multiple years ago, actually, we took the bold step to focus on Turkey finding an alternative. Because here we have to say innovation doesn't happen overnight. And even if the innovation bit happens overnight, making it available takes a lot of time. You mentioned it, you're testing. I mean, this takes time. You have to go through that. It's not from within one night, right? So actually coming back, we anticipated this change and worked on a solution a couple of years ago already. And now the solution is actually already here. I mean, you have Lumivia in the market. It was launched 2 years ago already. So, its efficacy is proven in the market. We went through all these steps. It has registration, full registration, which is absolutely key. Thibaut mentioned it. That was a hassle in Europe. So today it's registered, fully registered across multiple crops. And I think with that, we are actually giving one of the tools you need. I know you were talking integrated pest management. It might not be this one silver bullet, even though I truly believe it's close to a silver bullet. But in that remark, with Lumivia, it doesn't end. We are working on further solutions. We are working in the biological space as well. I mean, there's a clear expectation from society, from seed companies, for everyone, and we are fully committed to that. I mean, we did acquire also companies in that space. We have collaborations, so we will push for that. And we look at the whole crop cycle. Of course, the focus here is seed treatment, and that's, you mentioned it, this hassle of early insect pest pressure, that's really what you tackle with the seed treatment. But you need to go beyond that, right? You need to go into the whole crop cycle. So we look at that from a holistic point of view as well. And I think we're quite proud, that we can give this peace of mind to the Turkish market today, that actually, it's already there. The change is happening, the adaptation is happening, and we are supporting this change.
Monica, you've mentioned Lumivia there, haven't you? Is there any other seed-applied insecticides coming down the line? Are there other alternatives?
Well, as I just mentioned, from a pipeline perspective, of course, we are working on new solutions. I said it before, you need to be ahead of the game. And even though I don't think there will be a beyond Lumivia, there will for sure be combinations and additional product being brought to the market for sure. And we are committed to that.
And we heard from Thibaut earlier about the challenging transition period in Europe. Can you fill us in a little bit about what's happening today in Europe?
Well, in Europe, I think we are also at a different stage today. And also Thibaut here mentioned it already. I mean, diamides are also in Europe today. We have Lumiposa in the meantime, and this took time. I mean, we have to face it. It took time, but in the meantime, we have broad registration across European countries. Of course, especially matching the ones where the seeds actually get treated. Lumiposa is also registered across different crops. By the way, it's not the only compound we have registered today. There's, for example, also artemide. We have a pipeline. We're pushing for it. Biologicals equally important. So I think it took more time in Europe, but also today we're back at the level where we can really deliver effective tools to the seed companies and to the farmer at the end of the day.
Thanks, Monica. And I guess yourself, Mustafa, listening in to Monica's comments, Thibaut's sort of lessons and conversations, what does that sort of fill you with in terms of, or give you a sense of, for moving forward for Türkiye? What's your sort of reaction? Oh, microphone again.
Actually, like Monica said, we have some alternatives in Turkey. So as I mentioned it before, we tested last year, and also we will test the second time this year. Also last year we were happy with the results. So we will just, we need to be sure the result of the chemicals. So with these alternatives, I think that we can manage this challenge to adapt after loss of neonics as a, the seed producer, as a seed company. But also we need more alternatives in the market. Maybe as a biological alternatives, we need more. And I think that it is a challenge, but I feel comfortable. I'm myself, so I know we can solve to all together with all stakeholders.
I think it's
Yeah.
good having these conversations because you're reacting in real time to what's
Yeah.
happening and being able to learn. Sorry, Monica, did you want to add anything in there?
Yeah, I mean, what I really liked is this all together, right? And that's where we have to go. And I mean, be ensured that we are here to support the journey, to support the change, because that's not what I didn't mention that before. But again, for a seed company to change a seed treatment, it's also nothing that happens overnight. And at Corteva, we have a Center for Seed Applied Technologies, and they focus specifically on the application bit. And this is really, you know, to ensure the quality of the treatment, to ensure that you don't have the stickiness you mentioned before, you know. And I know this is extremely important for you. So it's not just about performance, it's also about the way you get the products applied and applied together. Your recipe, you might have a specific biostimulant you want to add, you know. We have to make sure that this is going to work out and have no impact on the quality of your seed or even on the planting process. So we are exactly here to support that change, this adaptation, and I'm looking forward to the together part.
And Thibaut, do you want to share any sort of final words or reflections?
I'll echo what Monica said, really, is, you know, this transition in Europe was certainly not easy, but it gave us the opportunity to learn what the needs were and learn how we address those transitions. And Monica rightly stated, it's not only a product. There's a lot of things that need to happen to make this easier within the industry to accompany it. And that's certainly where we're trying to provide value beyond the product. So we're happy to be exchanging with you all today, and certainly look forward to any questions you have at our booth on how we can support this in your businesses to make sure this transition is smooth.
And I guess, Mustafa, it's great to hear you're fairly optimistic when you were talking about the sort of long-term opportunities coming over this, and it's great to hear Corteva leading the conversation on this too. So best of luck in that transition. And I guess I'm gonna call it to a close just now and just really thank you all for your valuable insights, your reflections on what's happened before, and also the real actions that we can take moving forward. As I think it's really good to have those focus points. But like Thibaut was saying, I think Corteva's welcoming anyone to the booth afterwards. If there's any follow-up questions, do make sure to continue the conversation. But for now, we can thank our panel, Thibaut, Mustafa, and Monica for their brilliant contributions. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
Very excited.
No, no, no.